You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always, my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And Shannon G. and Mesa AZ.
And we would like to welcome you to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. We have a special guest today. Bob Ruff is joining us from the, I guess, your field,
Mesa.
right? He's at from Mesa, Arizona. So welcome to the show. You're welcome. And it's kind of exciting because, as you kind of probably heard on one of our last podcasts, we were talking about the Arizona Electric Festival. And at the Arizona Electric Festival, we did a demo of the E2K, 3D printed E2Ks. And so Shannon mentioned the fact that you might be available to kind of walk us through some of that. And so we were kind of excited because we've been doing a little research and probably have a question or two. But yeah, we are excited to have Bob because you've actually printed a few out and demoed them there at the Arizona Electric Festival.
Yes, I have.
And it was pretty exciting to see. I heard you gave some of the plans out and so other people participated.
I did not draw any of the racers. The two guys I'm using the files for with their permission because they're really pushing the E2K is a gentleman in Australia and a gentleman in Sweden.
Oh, okay.
They both have similar designs but different aspects.
And okay, so there's similar designs of the aircraft, but what's different about them?
Well, the Australian guy, his pretty conventional tail. Also, basically, the only thing that's glued together is the fuselage. Everything else is just plug in. You tape the wing on. The horizontals are held on by the clevis holding the elevators together, and one of the spar tubes going through the elevator holds the rudder in, the vertical ones. But it's all 3D printed. Then the Swedish guy, he has a similar airplane, but he prints the vertical and horizontal onto the boom, and then he has different booms for the airframe. He has the V-tail, a conventional tail, and a T-tail. The only thing we don't use a T-tail here because it has no rudder. The two models, in the Australian primarily and the Swedish, don't have landing gear. They both designed with landing gear, but they don't usually use it because they're flying off grass on the hand launch.
Right.
So since we're using asphalt, it's a little challenging to land on that with plastic airplanes.
This is true.
So we've been using
I think
the
it's
wheels.
any airplane out there in Arizona, nothing but rocks and nice soft rocks
We do
everywhere.
have rocks, and we try to avoid them, but we do land there at times.
I know.
Occasionally.
And I have my fair share.
Yeah, that's funny. Hey man, it just helps you sandpaper the bottom of your airplane every
Right,
time
the
you land.
land of sandpaper.
Yes, I do 3D print a lot of my RC planes now. It's sort of a new aspect for the hobby for me. I've done some large jets, and a few times the landing gear decided they didn't want to come down.
Right.
So, and I think Shannon's witnessed a couple of my landings where I definitely tried the sandpaper part.
Yes.
And I had to go home and cut out patches and fix the fuselages like an AP mechanic.
Right.
You know, what's so cool though with the advent of 3D printing and aircraft is if you don't like something, you can go back and tweak it, or again, if you just break something, you just go and print a new part. And,
That's true.
You're not waiting for, UPS to deliver it. It's whatever, speed you can print it at and whatever, printer you have, what it can do, in that respect. But I just think it's so cool to get started. I've got one of your planes, which you gave to me. I'm really excited to get it going. I just haven't had the time. That's the biggest thing. It's just really cool. I think we've got a lot of excitement in the club. How many of the planes have we kind of gotten out there, you think?
I've given away and sold, I think, at least 15 airframes.
Wow,
15.
okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy
it's
smokes.
It takes about 50 hours to print an airframe. But according to the instructions and myself doing it, it's about 3.5, 4 hours to put one together, ready to fly.
Oh, no kidding.
And the nice thing about these planes is it uses a very inexpensive $23 motor. It's usually a 3536 size motor with a approximately 1450 to 1500 kV. And it's running an 8.6 prop on 4 cells, 2200.
Ooh,
Now, the
nice.
interesting thing about E2K is, and we're working on getting that over here in the States is they use a speed controller that's been modified to a max RPM of 15,520. So everybody's flying at the same RPM. No matter what you do, you can't change the RPM. So we're all flying similar size airplanes, similar weights, similar power systems, but they're all locked in at a certain RPM. So it's getting back to the old EF1 roots where we're trying to keep everybody with the same airplane. So it's your skill and learning ability to do the racing. And E2K planes are considerably less inexpensive as compared to the EF1 nowadays. It's the E2K, I'm sorry, got started in Britain, and they primarily went with all wood, no carbon at all, and strictly hand launch. So they have with a similar motor and rules and stuff. And then Australia went with the rules because it's a great club racer. I mean, the plane flies like a Quickie 500, but smaller. These have been clocked at 114 miles an hour with a standard 60 amp ECS, which most of us are flying with now because the only way to get the limited one is order them out of Britain, and that's a little expensive to get. There are $23 ones at Amazon for the 60 amp. They're $60 from Britain by the time you get them here. So we've been using primarily just a very inexpensive Amazon El Cheapo 60 amp speed controller, and the planes are fun to fly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we've seen them. You had them out at AEF and just at the field. I know there's of the 15. I think there's at least probably 5 or 6 of them that are already up and flying.
One guy, he's got about not quite as many flights as me, but he's already got the fuselage cracked in 6 or 7 spots, but he's already got it glued together. These things are built out of ABS plastic, primarily to help with the Arizona heat, because ABS takes the heat a whole lot better. They're not that hard to print. Anybody wants the files, I'll be glad to provide them. I got permission from the owner to give them out. It's simple as all get out. They have latches and hatches, all sorts where you need to. The wing, it has 2 spars in the wing, a 10 millimeter tube spar up front and a 5 millimeter at the trailing edge. And the wing panel will just slide on. The servos on the Australian design, the servos for the ailerons are in the wing, meaning the fuselage, and the wing plugs up. Hook your clevises. Another interesting aspect, all these have super glue hinges slots already printed in. And it's a perfect fit. You don't even have to clean them out, and the hinges slide in, and 2 drops of super glue and they're locked in.
Nice.
And all that comes pre-done in the airframe.
Huh. That is truly amazing. How much do they weigh? I
think the heaviest one I've done so far is like 3.25 pounds. I'm still tweaking the recipe for printing them for infill and stuff. So I'm trying to get the best. Right now, I did the V-tail from Sweden. It's set up for a hand launch, and because I got the tail a little too heavy with everything in, I still had to put about 1.5 ounces of lead in the nose, which is not good for a race airplane.
So the heat itself, I mean, couldn't you use lightweight PLA? I mean, that has a pretty high temperature as well.
Well, lightweight PLA actually at 100 degrees droops. Now, there's a high temperature lightweight.
Right.
The only thing for me, it's real stringy. It's a foaming fiber, and you take the time, you can do it. But these are both designed to use ABS by the original designer. So it's a lot sturdier. It takes abuse. You glue together with acetone. That's the glue you use for putting the parts together if you want to glue. Because acetone melts the ABS just like in a styrene plastic, like building a plastic kit when you're a kid. The old glues, not the new glues. The old glues will actually melt the plastic and weld it together. So I've been trying to do, and at least for the planes I build, do everything ABS because the temperature. I mean, Arizona is 120 degrees in the shade during the summer, can be. So it's definitely. I had my first plane I ever built was a little ugly stick, and I didn't know any better, so I built it at PLA. And first, it flew great once I get it all figured out and trimmed. But when I let it sitting on the asphalt, came back, it was droopy all between ribs and stuff. So it didn't.
What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah, true. Now,
between that, you learn you have to.
Came out. One of the popular slicers is Oracle Slicer.
Yeah.
And they just came out with a new infill called Lattice, which is basically, if you look at it, it looks just like an old free flight internal where the ribs are X-shaped, go in the hole, and it does it automatically. You just pick that, adjust your numbers for whatever angles and stuff you want, and it puts that all in there. Real thin, real lightweight, and real stiff.
And what's it called?
Well, the Orca slicer is the name of the slicer.
No, yeah, I'm looking at the Orca slicer, but you said
it's actually, it hasn't been released yet. It's a beta.
Oh, beta. Okay,
But
I was like,
I downloaded the beta because some guy there's a good section on RC groups on 3D printing airplanes, and that came up about a week ago. And being the old timer that I am, I hate to say, I remembered that is a very easy way to do a stiff light wing. So I downloaded it and started playing with it, and I've printed some. Haven't flown one yet, but they're a lot lighter than the conventional way I've been doing it.
oh, no kidding. Huh. Well,
So,
that's
yeah,
good to know.
And just go, it's GitHub and for the Orca slicer, and download just the beta. In fact, the good RC groups that gives you the link
Okay.
in the 3D print section. And surprisingly, how many people are already doing it and talking. I even tried it on a fuselage, and it seems to be really nice. I'm working on printing up a F5 right now, or another one that's 76 inches long, and it'll be a 100-millimeter fan.
That's awesome. Now, I know we mentioned on one of the podcasts about your Jet Scout that we saw there as well.
I had my SP Viking.
You did.
That's the newest 3D printed jet I did.
Wasn't there one?
Also, there's a guy just gave me some files. There was a jet I saw at the Speed World Jet Rally last week. I think it's a BGX. Anyway, it's a big, huge jet, $6,000 before you put stuff in it.
Right.
And anyway, he copied it because the jet's rather popular in Europe and Australia, and brought it down to 64-millimeter size.
No kidding.
So I just finished printing the files. He had one oops, so he's fixing that. So you can print it. It took me, I think, 25, 30 hours to print all the parts, and I'll have a little jet ready to fly. A $40 fan, inexpensive speed control, and there's a hand launch. I'm going to put some scuffing on it to handle the asphalt. But then it's just amazing anymore. There's so many unique airplanes that haven't been modeled that are available now. Like another guy just did a Skylancer, which was the new improved version of the Skyray. And from the 50s.
Yeah.
And it's also set up for 70-millimeter. There's the planes, the sky's the limit. Props and jets.
Yeah, it's really amazing. They can use some of those old, kits that already have everything laid out. You just transfer that into your software, now all of a sudden you can.
Some guy gave me the files, actually he's a friend of mine, for a Midwest Strike Master, which is a real popular plane in the 70s and 80s. I've had about 5 of them. Canby 40 up front. Anyway, he built it exact same size, all printed with I think a 40 size electric motor. Flies great. He also had the files for a Sig Cougar 40 size that you can print and have your own. And there's a lot of guys doing the old airplanes because they're gone. So they dig up plans.
Yeah, that's true. You can't find the kits anymore.
And print it. I mean, it is
It's
a little
amazing.
plastic when you look at it. 5 feet away, you can't tell.
I saw some files for a 3D printed Hazel Sig. You could put in your cockpit of your Clipwing Cub.
And Hazel just had her birthday. She's 103.
Yes, she did. Yep, she's still kicking, still flying.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Very much so. But the racing I think it's going to get very interesting because all the other racing, the EF1 and the Formula 40s and all that, they don't allow 3D printing. This is the first one where they're encouraging it because it opens it up. Because not everybody, more and more people are getting printers. Used to be the printer was the hobby. Now the printers are becoming so self-calibrating and everything. What you make is the hobby, not the printer. Printer's just going to be a tool. So
there you go, right there.
Yeah.
And it's printing the fuselage out right now to go with these little green ones you see in the back. That's the Infinity Wing from 3D Aero Ventures.
Right now, I have 3 printers. I have a nice wife, and she's
there you go.
So I gotta be good.
You do have a nice wife.
Well, yeah. Well, I have 2 Bamboos and a Prusa XL. The XL is for the bigger stuff. And right now, on the one, I'm doing the wing for the Skyray. I mean, not the Skyray, the Skylancer. The other one, I'm doing some parts for. I'm doing something for the S3 Viking. I had to print a new cow. I put it on the CG machine, and says, please add 14 ounces of lead to the nose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, I was expecting something like that because I printed the tail with normal ABS or glass-filled ABS to keep it stiff.
Oh,
so yeah, a little weight in the back, a lot of weight up front. So first thing
True,
I
that's
did
true.
was change out the 6S 5000 to 6S 9000, and then put for the retracts, I went with a 2S 3000 instead of a 2S 800. So that helped. So I sort of put, I think, 8 ounces of lead in the nose. So it's all ready to fly. So this weekend sort of busy with the contest, but after that, we'll see how it goes.
Nice. I'll be there.
Let us know how that goes.
Well, I will. I've been having, like I said, I'm doing more. I have more printed planes now than purchased planes.
Kits? Very
Kits and
nice.
stuff.
Excellent. Well, I was doing a little research, and what surprised me is that from what I understand, you're not racing against everybody else. You're racing against the clock, according to what?
That I'm not 100%. I've been working with Jim Allen. He's a local club member, but he's also one of the heads of he's on the AMA rules committee for racing. And he's trying to bring some more new stuff into the country to get more people involved. Because you go to the Nats, you see a lot of young people, but the young people are sons or grandsons of the people racing. There's no new blood. So he's trying to figure out a way of getting new blood in, and E2K looks like a good starting point. The planes are easy to build because he also has a wood version, so a laser cut wood version can be built. It's inexpensive to get in the air. I think if you shop around, you can build a whole plane for about $150. Like the servos I used, everybody laughs at me, but they're metal geared, 9-gram servos. Amazon sells them 10 for $25. So I put in a race plane for two reasons. One, I tend to crash every now and then, as Shannon probably has seen. It's something that's going to have a short life, can have a short life. Why put super high dollar servos in or
We
stuff
agree.
like that? But with those servos, I mean, everything, and you can really build it for very inexpensive and have a lot of fun because I mean, it flies like a fun airplane, loops, spin, rolls, all that. But you put the nose down for full throttle. This little plane is 114 miles an hour, so it scoots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we did the demo for both, EF1 and for these, and I think the crowd was more excited about the little ones.
Yeah,
just because they were, it's like, they just look like they're going faster. Whether the EF1s are going a little faster, probably, not much, I know, but I just thought everyone was going to kick out of that, and just definitely people talking about it, and we were able to give one away at AEF. We gave one away at a club raffle, and I'm really excited. Now I want to go put mine together now. So thank you. You're lighting the fire under me.
And if you other guys want one, let me know. I'll be glad to get you a kit.
Yeah, sure. We'd love to have a file. Like I said, I got my own. I would have to come up with.
Send me the email. I'll get you the file.
Yeah,
that's no problem with that either. So you're welcome to try it.
So Bob, do you notice that over the course of time for flying that particular airplane, that one part, like you have one or two parts that you have to print out more, they break more than others, or that you should have on hand when you go to fly?
So right now, the number one thing I've been replacing for everybody is the wheels. The wheels are printed ABS.
The wheels. Okay.
So you don't have to.
Oh, they're printed ABS?
It's a printed ABS, 20% infill. And when they start throwing the tread, the number of, you put in how many walls you want. Well, when you start going through the first wall, it starts throwing it. Time to get another wheel. I mean, they just bolt on. I can print 12 at a time. Takes a half hour or so to print all the wheels. So I take a bag with me to the flying field. And everybody needs wheels, just hand them to them. The number two thing is the landing gear itself, only because some guys are still learning how to land it. And he bounces it hard, even though it's PET G carbon filled. You get 3 pounds hitting asphalt. It spreads a little bit and it can snap.
Yeah.
But that's it. Other than that, other than just people oopsing on building or hitting rocks when they shouldn't be hitting rocks, and no other major parts are more other than the wheels. And that was a good question because we're trying to figure something out, but right now it's just easier to print a whole bunch of wheels. The thing is, the landing gear they have has the axle molded into it. Now I have tried the first wheels I did print with TPU, but they wouldn't spin. They needed a nylon or a plastic insert. Now, one thing on the Swedish guy's wheels, he's done that. he has the wheels separate and a nylon part that bolts itself to the landing gear. So I haven't had a chance to try it printing in a TBU one, but I have printed TBU wheels from other model planes and they hold up real well. Now, on the ABS wheels, you get about 10, 15 flights on asphalt before you have to worry about switching them out. I mean, it's not like any other landing or something. But
Right.
they do have a high wear. Right now, it's material-wise, you're using maybe a third of a roll plastic, and you keep it all the same color. So that's $5
Yeah.
for all the
Yeah,
parts
it's not too bad.
if you have the printer.
Sure. Well, there's got to be a way to do that. I mean, this
Oh
one
yeah,
actually
there.
has a separate hub,
Oh yeah, there's a way. There's
two
always a
hubs.
way. I just like using his design right now. I didn't spend a whole lot of time modifying it, other than just whatever recipe to print it. So that is something I do plan on doing down the road. If I can adapt the Swedish guy's wheels over to Australian guy's wheels, it would let us do that because the Swedish
Yeah.
guys has a separate hub.
I was going to say one of the things about 3D printing that's nice is that, if you're not into design at all, but you can still watch the threads or you can watch what's going on and people will, hey, use this wheel or hey, try this out. And then you can download whatever they're doing and try it out. Or if you have a better idea for yourself, you can borrow the idea from over there that may have nothing to do with what you're doing over here. And it may be a great solution to what you want. And that's what I like about 3D printing is that you can just mishmash stuff together and make it your own, and it works pretty good.
Agreed. And there's so much out there online and
Oh, yeah.
Thingiverse, Cults, even Maker World. There's so many out there, and like even on RC groups, you go to the 3D section. There's a lot of guys. Their hobby is more fun printing. I mean, designing the plane than actually printing them.
Right.
And there's so much out there. Like you can find right now. There's a couple threads on a guy doing a B-52 with 840 millimeter motors.
Wow.
The big
That's
Russian
cool.
airplane, that huge one that sort of got destroyed in the Ukraine war. He's doing a version of that with a 60 or 70-inch wingspan with 8 50 millimeter motors
Holy smokes.
and working landing gear, the whole bit with it, like the S3 Viking I did. The guy designed the rotating retracts for it. You get all the parts, and I printed it up, bought what I needed, and now all the retracts, just like the real S3 Viking. So all that stuff's available, and guys are willing to share, or someone will put them up for sale. But sky's the limit of what you want to do with printer. Like when I'm building a bigger jet, or when I was doing before I got into the jet stuff of printing, if I needed a thrust tube adapter or a spacer, I just went into AutoFusion, drew it up, sent it over, hit the printer. Within an hour, I had the part sitting in my hand, putting it on the airplane. And that just makes it all that more fun.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
You have to
Sure does.
carve it out and fiberglass, where this side is draw it up, hit a button, soon you have a part.
Yeah, it is coming a long way. And like I said, everything that I saw, it looks like that, it's a load of fun. From what I understand, they race against the clock. Everybody rates their times down. And then at the end, it's the best of the, top 3 or whatever. And you have from what I understand, you got 3 people involved in the team. So there's a pilot and a caller and then a timer, I think, or someone that does the actual time. So it was interesting to read about and see for the E2K program, and it looks like if they're bringing it over this direction,
open up a lot of racers, or give people a chance to try racing and see if they like it. Yeah, I go we do a race EF1 at our field once a month, and I go to have fun. I'm definitely not in the winning circle, and I have a nickname at the flying. It's called One More Lap Bob.
One more lap, Bob.
I always get lapped by somebody.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it because I have fun.
Yeah, sure.
It just helps me fly with a group, racing, doing the pylons, trying not to pylons hit the ground.
Right.
It helps my skills somewhat, but I just do it for fun. I mean, I would love to win, but right now I'm not as competitive as some guys. I have some guys there that are very, very competitive, and that's great. That's them. I'm there to have fun. And same with this E2K. I think, like I said, Jim's been helping me. We need to get a set of rules, try to do try to use those rules, but adapt them for the U.S. and try to get it going so it's more than a club thing. We make it a natural thing.
Right. So
now we can get going because the rules are basically already there. Now we just got to sort of tweak them for the U.S. and really get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Huh. Well, it's interesting to see, and yeah, we'd love to have a file. We could give it a try.
Well,
I know
sure.
Jay owns a
That'd
couple of 3D printers, and I own one or two. So
I'm the odd man out. I have one printer. I got one resin printer I mean, but that's still in the box. So
well, the resin
one of these
printer would be
days.
kind of heavy for this deal.
I know.
think,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's not for. Yeah, it's more for details.
cockpit maybe, but
details.
yeah, or the wheels maybe. I wonder if the resin would last longer.
Yeah, actually,
I used to have a resin printer, and I don't think they would hold up on the asphalt. Now, the newer resins, it's entirely possible. The dental resin. Use
Yeah,
the
the
dental
dental.
resins.
Let's
should
give it a
do it.
shot.
Huh. Wow. Unfortunately, those dental resins have a lot of
Well,
zeros on the end of the
Yeah,
bottle.
they're a little pricey.
Yeah.
Yes, very true.
Pass.
Very.
Hey, can I have this 5,000 bottle of resin for a couple of $1 wheels for my RC airplane?
Pass.
Yeah, I think I'll pass as well. We can figure. I think I'd stick with
Taking
the
out a
PPU.
loan.
Yeah, take out a
Get your
loan
resin.
for your
Yeah.
$30 airplane.
Go on the street. Need resin for model
Yeah,
airplanes.
exactly.
Work for resin.
And one
Actually, I have a friend
interesting
that's a
thing about
dentist.
the printing, you can print whatever color you want. You can make it a water design, or
Yeah.
use some of those the filaments that have all the different colors mixed in. That would create a very interesting looking airplane as you're going around the pylon.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. I actually printed out some little dragons that change colors,
Nice.
different directions, you know.
Yeah.
And one of the ladies that knows my wife, her little kids were looking at. She's like, "Hey, I know that machine that you have in your office. Can you print these?" And she held up this little dragon. I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I can. How many you need?" She said, 50. I was like, "Wow." So I printed dragons for weeks.
The same thing. My granddaughter was having a Taylor Swift birthday party,
Oh, there you go.
and the boys come in. You can't really give her boys Taylor Swift stuff. That just
Sure.
doesn't work. But since her boyfriend worked for the Kansas City Chiefs, I did the print flexi of the Kansas City logo. I like your dragon.
Yeah.
And I needed to print 25 of them. So I've been busy. I understand exactly what you went through. But the fun thing is, we could do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard to do. You just get the file, make your mods, line them up, hit print, and go do what you got to do. And you have the item. I mean, it's a neat way to make toys.
It is. It is kind of neat. I've got a whole room full of stuff that I've got a 3D printer that I'm moving out of my shop and into some boys that just fell in love with the stuff that I did. So I'm creating it for them. So I picked up a lot of stuff like a skateboard and like a little hammerhead shark and spiders that they can print out that just cling on everything. So it's kind of cool. I really wasn't interested in any of that stuff, but it's like I had to go do research for these, kids are young. And so
Oh yeah, I just saw something I got to think about for my grandkids. Is they now have 3D printable soap. You can actually put it in a normal printer and print figurines and stuff, but it's a soap. So you take it in the bath, the shower, whatever, and use it.
don't give Jay any ideas.
I don't know whether to be
I haven't
offended
seen
by
how
that,
many
but
zeros are behind the reel of that stuff yet. But I thought that was so neat.
Jay's new version of soap on a rope.
Or our new planes are biodegradable when they crash.
That's true.
there you go.
That's the way to do it, Shannon. That's the way to do it.
That's it. Now that would be kind of interesting. At least if it was out in the desert somewhere, you would just leave it. You wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. All the coyotes have a bath.
Yes, that's right. It's too funny. Well, we're super excited to hear how your project is going to go, Bob. I am so thankful that you're able to join us today on our podcast. It's very, very nice of you to take the time to kind of give us
I have more time. I just recently retired from my 40-year life at Boeing. So
There you
I'm
go.
now unemployed, except for model planes and honeydews.
There you go. And
that's full time.
I was going to say, if it's anything like my house, one outweighs the other.
I didn't say which one was equal.
I didn't
Which one's
either.
higher than the other.
You can see behind me. I mean, she comes in here and is like, "Are you going to be done anytime soon? I need you to do something." So I tell her to put it on the calendar. Well, we're lucky. We all have wives that are supportive.
Oh yeah, she's
Good
been
for us.
putting up with my model plane for 46 years.
Yep. So,
We've only been married 45.
that's funny. I told that joke the other day. I was coming home and somebody was sitting next to me and we were chatting about something or another. And I told her, I said, "You know how to tell when your date with a pilot is half over?" She said, "No." I said, "Enough about me. Let's talk about airplanes." It was funny. So she's like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right." And I was like, "I do." Well, anyway, on that note, we're out of time, but we are going to let you go for this episode. We've got
Thank you for
some.
having me.
Yeah, actually, we
Yeah, it's
love to
been
have
fun.
you, and you're welcome back anytime.
If you ever want to talk anymore, I'd be glad to
Perfect.
jump
We
in.
can do
and-
that. We can bring you back on and find out about your new projects. We'll
For sure.
love to hear about those. I think in an upcoming episode, Bob mentioned earlier that he went out to Speed World, and Scott and I went out there as well. So we'll kind of have a little touch on that. And then we've got Warbirds and Classics that's coming up as well. So we'll have an episode on that. So we're looking forward to it.
You're busy
And then
flying.
Gunsmoke too.
Gunsmoke too as well. So yeah. So stick around. If you haven't joined us, go to parkflyerpodcast.com and you can subscribe to our Facebook page. I think it's a Facebook listeners group. And yeah, give us a like, a subscribe, help us grow our channel. We're constantly getting, I think I saw 2 or 3 more people on our YouTube channel that just joined. So Jay's doing a great job with that. And yeah, we'd love to hear your comments on 3D printing your airplanes. So give us a shout. But I'm Michael from Arizona.
I'm Jay from the hills of Texas.
And Shanji and Mesa AZ.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.